Peace, peace, peace. You're back with your host, Dr. Aline Bayo, First World Order Radio. No doubt, we in the building. All right. Tonight, discussion going to be under my author, Cristobal Colon, known as Christopher Columbus. In fact, did he even exist? Because we know that metaphysically, the word cologne is derived from the same word as colony, right? Colony. So not only is a cologne or colon full of shit, but it is also colony, all right? And we know that we've been colonized by the colonizers, all right? We know that Chris, all right, is Christ, anointed. And then Baal, of course, is the deity of the Phoenicians, known as the Canaanites, right? Who was known as the followers of Bennu, which is a form of Heru, Horus. All right, so we know these things exist, and we're gonna go a little bit more in detail and go further on and try to even break it down into the most simplest way possible. All right. Ma'afa, of course, means the Great Holocaust. Of course, we speak of the African Holocaust, not just on the African continent, but also here in North America, South America, Central America, and the adjoining islands. All of this was the Great Ma'afa, all right, the Great Holocaust. So we want to get into that tonight. All right, so just bear with us as we pull up the info. You know how we do. It ain't been that long, but we will be strong. All right, so just check us out. All right, so before we even get to Christopher Columbus, we have to understand who was already here. Many people are still under the false impression that the Europeans brought all of us over here. I don't know how many times we can say this over and over again. It's a lie. We was already here by the millions. There was over 5 million to 19 million of us already here. In fact, has stated more. But we do know that we was here already by the millions. In fact, we know that 2,200 ships, 181, nearly 200 years before Christopher Columbus allegedly sailed the ocean blue, we was already here. Abubakar II, as I've already done a video on, brought tens of hundreds, thousands of us from out of Africa, Western Africa, into North America. Abubakar II, Mansa Abubakar II, the king of Mali, of the Malian Empire, which stretched nearly the whole of West Africa. And so at one time, in 1 year, between 1311 and 1312, some say 1312 to 1313, what we find is 2,200 ships with hundreds of people on each one. 2,200 ships times 100 get 220,000 people at one time. Now, the Albion claims that he brought us in a, now this is 1 year that Abu Bakari did this. All right. This is 1 year, within 1 year's span. First, he sent out 200 ships. One came back. The other 199 came on in. And then he sold out 2,000 more. 2,200 ships at one time, with hundreds of thousands of people coming to North America. And how we know? Because we find remnants in Arizona, Nevada, Mississippi, and different other places throughout North America. So there was already a legend told that there were people, their brothers, sisters, that already were in the Western Hemisphere. Now, of course, if you turn the map upside down, this actually is the Eastern Hemisphere. But I won't get into all of that. But there's a lot of misconception and twisting which has happened. We have to go back and analyze everything in which that the Albion has told us. Okay? We have to. So the so-called black family in America were originally the Aboriginal tribes of America, because that was just one of the last impacts before the Europeans. And then we get the so-called tales that we was brought here by the Dutch from out the Netherlands, 1619. And there's 20 some odd Negroes, but it doesn't say Africans, it says Negroes. That was the term in which that they referred to who was dark skin complexioned here in the Americas, in the adjoining islands, Americana. They refer to us as the Negroes. Negra, Negro, male, female. Negra, female, Negro, male. All right. So if you was wondering how you got African blood and the reason why your DNA test came back, you are. At least partly because of the last impacts which that took place, which this impact, which I'm speaking about, which was the largest prior to the Europeans, Albions coming here in droves. And prior to them talking about bringing 20 some odd Negroes here in 1619. I'm talking about damn 220,000 or more people that came. 1 year. Not over a 400-year span, which they claim only double that. Remember that Albion, according to Wikipedia, even only 450,000 people was brought to North America. POWs was brought to North America. This is what they say. This just doesn't make any sense. That Abu Bakr was able to do in 1 year what it took the Albion 400 years to do? Well, technically it wasn't 400 years. Because next year, if you're talking about 1619 to now, 2019 would be 400 years. So next year, there will be the celebration of the 400 year. But then, of course, we have the story from the Nation of Islam that says Sir Johnny Hawkins brought us here in 1555. So 1955 would have been 400 years, which would have been the mark of Martin Luther King during the Civil Rights Movement. And that coming to the forefront. That would have been 400 years, in which that at that time, of course, we were still fighting for our civil rights. Of course, as Malcolm said, in order to have civil rights, you must be recognized first as a human being. We was never recognized as a human being because a human being has a nationality, an ethnicity. You never claim your nationality. Negro, black, colored are not nationality. Those are labels, mislabels at that. Purposely given to us so that our land can be stolen and utilized while we become merely consumers. Not even the caretakers. The caretakers are the Albions who has it in the trust via the Vatican. And because of the doctrine of discovery that was issued by Pope Alexander VI, the same Pope who the white Jesus figure that you worship within your Christian churches, whether it's Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal, Holiness, Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventists, etc., etc. Y'all have that white Jesus up in there. That is actually a Caesar Borgia, the bastard child of Pope Alexander VI, who put forth the edict, the papal bull that states of the doctrine of discovery that when you see the children of Ham convert them or murder them, i.e., we were the so-called children of Ham that he spoke of. If you're going to go by the Bible, of course, Ham allegedly means Cam, as in Kemites, Egyptians. So if you say that you're not an Egyptian, then why in the hell did goddamn the Pope say that you are the children of Ham? And Ham is Hebrew for Cam, which is ancient Kemetic, Egyptian, Temerian, and it means dark complected, sunburnt, i.e. black. And I'm only using black in the term, so don't, more as I did, don't get your damn fez tassel in a bun. All right, don't get your fez tassel in the bun. We understand what we're saying here. We're trying to make those who aren't familiar with our terminology to also understand. Moors. And this is why I'm using terms so-called black. I'm not a fanatic. We're here to make this understandable, overstandable, understandable for those that are listening. All right, so as we see here, as I said, the so-called black family in America was originally the Aboriginal tribes of America. So even before Abubakari and that large impact of over 220,000 brothers and sisters in 1311, 1312, we're looking at so-called blacks already here. We know that the Olmecs, who was also from out of Mali, who are the brothers and sisters in which that Abubakari came in order to see, were already here over 5,000 years ago in the Yucatan Peninsula, known as Tabasco, Levanta area, Mexican Gulf. And they came out of that interior into and along the Mississippi Delta, stretching from Mississippi all the way up into Wisconsin. These Moors were spread it out because, how do we know? Because we have Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He stated that before the Europeans came, there was Moors living all up and down the Mississippi. And we know that up and down along the Mississippi and throughout the United States, we actually had over 220,000 mounds. Now we only have about maybe 2,200 mounds because of the infrastructure in which that the United States corporation has put forth throughout our land. All right, so and we see the Washita throughout Memphis. We had the Garifuna, Carib chief, Caribbeans, 1796. It was us, chief of the Boracas, preparing for an attack in Brazil, 18th century. We had the Powhatan, who was known as the Pamunkey, from out of Virginia, 1900s. The Nowodoswisi, 1802. You had, once again, the Mattaponi, and the Mattaponi people will also become the Sapani people in North Carolina, known as the Pamunkey in Virginia. The Chippewa of the Mississippi. These were the brothers and sisters who was all up and down the Mississippi that, along with the Washita, Choctaw, you had the Nipmuc or the Micmac, the Algonquin Council, Rhode Island, 1920s, the Wampanoag, mother and daughter. Now look at all of these tribes. These are different tribes of so-called Black folks that was already here. All right, prior to even that last impact by Mansa Abubakari II, the brother of Mansa Musa, who they speak of as the richest man in the world. But before he became the richest man and inherited, it was his brother Abubakari who was the richest man in the world, who set sail with 2,200 ships at one time, with hundreds of passengers on them, to come to the so-called New World. This is the Council of the Algonquin. Once again, the Nipmuc family, the Algonquin. If you don't see your grandmother, your sister, your mother, your aunts, uncles up in here, then something's wrong with you. You have to ask the question, well, how did all these niggers become Algonquin? How? There's another picture. How? How did this happen? Were they playing make-believe in the 1900s? Turn of the 1900s? Were they playing make-believe? This Algonquin Indian chief looks like an older version of Cuba Gooding Jr. Okay. This is your grand uncle right here. Let's look at this. To do some good or do some good upon their countrymen, the paradox of Indian slavery in early Anglo-America by Michael Gasco. Let's look at this. What he's saying. I'm not going to read all of it, but let's come on down. For some reason, Captain Pierce missing his landing and continued on to the West Indies. Once there, Pierce deposited his cargo on the tiny Puritan outpost off the coast of Nicaragua at the Providence Island, whereby a stroke of a Providence Island company pen, the rebel Pequot was transformed into cannibal Negroes. So the Pequot people, wow, the Pequot people was called cannibal Negroes, condemned to serve out their lives in slavery in the Anglo-America's first true slave society. So the first slaves they told you was Indian, but they didn't tell you that you were the Indians, the indigenous Aboriginal people here in North America, in particular the Pequot. The Pequot were the ones who they refer to as the cannibal Negroes. And see, there was a war. We didn't just let that shit happen. See, don't tell you about this. In the wake of the Pequot War in New England in 1637, we fought them. 17 Pequot Indians, 15 boys and 2 women, was ordered to be sent out of the New England by Massachusetts officials. Hundreds of captives have been taken by the English Puritans as a result of the colonists, see, Cologne, triumph in the Battle of Mystic and the Great Swamp. Subsequently, many Pequot men were put to death while others were divided up among the soldiers, given the Narragansett and or assigned to the Connecticut or Massachusetts colonies. The 17 women and boys, however, was placed on board the Salem-built craft of Captain Pierce and earmarked for sale in the remote Atlantic island of Bermuda. So see, they sent the Pequot to Bermuda. All right. But then he says, for some reason, Captain Pierce missed his landing. So he didn't quite get there, but that means that they already took others there before. And continued on to the West Indies. Once again, Pierce deposited his cargo on the Thailand Puritan off-post of the coast of Nicaragua at Providence Island, whereby a stroke of Providence Island's company's pens, the rebel Pequot was transformed into cannibal Negroes, condemned to serve out their lives in slavery in Anglo-America's first true slavery or slave society. So we know that the so-called Negroes were the indigenous Aboriginal people here. As I said, 20-odd Negroes. They didn't get them from Africa in the beginning because they used us. You see, this was 1637, and we was already fighting a war with them. 1619, that they claimed that they brought 20-some-odd Negroes, all right, to Virginia. So here we have, who's copper color? Well, you tell me. We look like the copper color people. American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applies to descendants of Europeans born in America. Technically, it doesn't, because they were colonialists. They were invaders. They are the immigrants. They migrated here. They're not American. They are United States citizens. And we can't be United States citizens. Why? Because we are the true Americans, as you've seen by definition. There's a misconception going on that some of you Negroes that call yourself Moors want to be United States citizens. You can't be. Sorry. Right? United States of America. or you can be American national, but not a United States citizen. This is short of Oxford Dictionary, indigenous, born or produced naturally in the land or region, native to the soil region, inborn, innate. Vernacular is native is the vernacular. Look at this. Yet were they Negroes or transported from Africa? Hell, they even asked the goddamn question in the Oxford Dictionary. Third edition, 1933, 1956 revision, reprinted with corrections, 1964. What's the correction? Yet were they Negroes or imported from Africa? And the answer, and or not. Now, this destroys the whole myth that all you niggas was brought here by the white man, as you call him, on slave ships. Oxford Dictionary took care of that. Oxford Dictionary said, yet were they Negroes or transported from Africa and or not. Or proper natives, check this out now, or proper natives of America. So they just told you who's the indigenous people. So no, all you Negroes were not transported from Africa because the European couldn't transport you all. I told you 2,200 ships was already here 181 years with hundreds and thousands of our brothers and sisters from Africa on their own. That's just one impact. We have many, 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 many impacts that have taken place. Let's get a better understanding. Webster Universal Dictionary 1937 edition defines as American, an aboriginal or one of various copper-colored natives found on the American continent by the descents of European settlers. The following is the original application of the name Meru, M-E-R-U, Meru. So America is derived from the word Meru. Now, if you look here in the introduction, and it's talking about the various, you got Caucasian or white race, you got the Mongolian, tawny or olive race, you have the Malaysian dark brown race, and then you have the American or copper-colored race. All right, they have the copper-colored race. And they said North American Indians, South American Indians, Caribbean, and etc. They said it came up to around 10,287,000. Who was the copper-colored people. All right, here's a better look at it so you can see. Even greater. Get the book, A Pictorial Geography of the World by S.G. Goodrich. So Meru is to marry. You see Mary or Meru is Mary. Matter of fact, Meru is also the name of Meroe, which was the capital of the Meroitic Kingdom, which is known as Ethiopia. It was the capital of Ethiopia. So the Moors were the Merovingian people, Maroon people, as they later become known as, from out of Ethiopia. Matter of fact, the word Meru means country or nation. So even the word Meru, Moor, means country or nation. At least this is what they speculate. As you see here, there is a question mark. Well, let's see if we can find it. Well, Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie. Maybe he was just reaching. But here, this is what he says. Let's see here. I ain't going to read everything. The original root seems likelier to have been more, M-O-R, as seen in Cornish, American, and other languages. Jameson, in his Scottish dictionary, say of the word Mervyn, derived by him as black, swarthy, resembling a Moor. So when you hear about the Merovingian people from out of France, those was the Moors, which is supposedly one of the 13 Illuminati blood clans. This word was certainly been used in Old English as Cotgrave gives it in the sense of French, Moor, M-O-R-E, I-D. It is probably a contraction of the Latin Mauritanians, a Moor. It would perhaps be more correct to say that the Latin Mauritanians and Moris are extensions of Moor. He also connects the word with the morion that forms the headpiece of the medieval men-at-arms. Another English word for this is Murray, meaning dark red or copper color. Murray. All right. Yes, we have Brother Murray in here today. Church, that's, sounds like a church name at the end, when they're trying to collect that money. All right, but right here, it goes on, it says, the country of Moravina is said to receive its name from the chief river of Morva, March, or anciently Morris, and the first known inhabitants or stated to have been a people named Quadi, who immigrated from the 5th century to the Gaul and Hispania. The river Morava is tautology for Morris, is Moor River. All right, whether Ava be regarded as Celtic or Gothic, or a language older than either, it is not unreasonable to conject that the Cadi, which went into France and Spain, may have been born this name Moor. Right? So MERUMORMAURS. All right, all these are nothing more than those types of names. All right, that is connected back to Meru. Matter of fact, let's look at it. Let's go to the second verse. However, the symbol is far older than the modern conception of Christ, Satan, or Lucifer. This symbol can be traced back to the hieroglyphics in the ancient Sumer, where it is pronounced Kat or Cat, and sometimes called Card. Right? This was another title for the king who known as gods of the sea. All right, hence the codfish, and the name Kati became associated with this entire race. This region capital was called Amaru, the land to the west, like Meru, the alternate term for Atlantis. So Atlantis was not just known as Atlantis, it was known as Meru. All right. Understand what's going on here. The Meru of India literature is none other than the Moro Sheba of the Sudan, a primeval Moro that would long ago to cataclysm. The 4 kingdoms of Saka, of Mega, Amanga, Masaka, Mansa, as in Mansa Musa, king, and Mandaga. Now, Mandaga is where we get the word Mandingo. Right, Mandinka. The Manga, the Magi or magicians, or the Mecca or Mecca, which is named after, of course, in Arabia, Mecca, of the Persian inscriptions. The Masaka and the the Mahabharata was called the Kshatriya, and the Mandaga or Manda, referred to as Meda or the Mandis. These Mandians had a fourth parent family connected to the ancient Mandi speakers of Africa, especially the Mandingo or the Mandinka people, who often occupied the Dravidians out of Middle Africa into Asia. This explains the close relationship between the Elamite and the Mandese language. The Kushite and the first cousin Kushite Mandese kingdoms line, the Olmec Asians traveled to the southeast of West Nubia or Nuba, Sudan, and formed the ancient kingdom of the Olmecs, as we just said, but the Mayans, who were their children, the Incas were their children, the Arawak were their children, the Carib Indians are their children, and the Chicawanas in South America are their children of the Olmecs. All of these are the Olmecs, the Kushites, the Malians. All right, now you can get all this information from Dr. Clyde Winters. All right, Dr. Clyde Winters. Right, you know who the Indians or the Egyptians were. The Egyptians commonly called gypsies or counterfeit rogues. Welsh or English, they disguise themselves in speech and apparel and wander up and down the country, tending to have skills in telling fortunes and to deceive the common people, but live chiefly by fleshing and stealing, and therefore the statutes 1 and 2, Mark C4 and 5, Eliz C20 were made to punish such as felons as they depart not the realm or the continuous to a month. All right. So, according to Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie, Dr. Hexley says that when they came, American Indians red, they meant chocolate brown in color. Right? It wasn't red Indians, they was chocolate brown in color. That's what he just said. There it is. Chocolate brown in color. That's what they mean by red. All right, so when they the red Indians, let's get that right. This is why the real Indians on the reservation and the descendants are being kicked out of the tribes, and in many instances being told to go back to Africa. All right, even when people are designated as Indians on birth or death certificates or other public records, their records were changed to reflect copper coffee complected Negro de Terra, or classified in Black's Law Dictionary 4th and 6th edition as Fema Color Libra, meaning free Libra colored nation, Femi, or people. Black 6th edition, Law Diction 6th edition, 618, Fema Color Libra, up to the time of the Civil War. This term applies to all people not of the white race, including Indians. All right. Again, the word Indian originally did not mean Native American or American the way that it is used today. Because it did mean, however, it did mean Ethiopians, Negro de Terra, in other words, natives of America, and Moors. All right. C.E.G. Indy, Cassell New Latin Dictionary, CLD by D.P. Simpson, 1960s, page 299. So we use the term Indi, where the word Indian is derived from, and Indi or Indios means God's people or black people. In other words, dark complected people. Now, who are the Moors, American Asiatics? Are you in denial of your ancestry? Page 2. American, as we said, is the Aboriginal or any one of the various copper-colored natives found on the continent by Europeans. The original application of the word is what? Meru. Natural law reference, Webster's 1936, 20th century unabridged dictionary, page 53. Definition of Moor, any dark-skinned person. All right, reference Mary W. Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, this explains, you have Negroes like talking about, well, every black person ain't a Moor. Well, according to this definition, you are. Definition of Moor, any dark-skinned person. Gives some derivatives of Moor as Moran, Morel, Morican, Morlo, Morme, Moreka. Moors are just Americans. Reference letter to the editor, Evening Journal, Wilmington, Delaware, February 11, 1972. Moors are just Americans. Moro, noun, comes from Spanish moro, Moorish. You have Webster International Dictionary with history reference as the world, published 1910, see page 1407, the footnotes. And this is where you get it at. Moro, Meru. Remember we showed you Meru. Now what does it say about Meru? All synonymous. Keeps in mind the vowels A, E, I, O, U, U, and sometimes Y are interchangeable. Thus, M-O-O-R, M-U-U-R are synonymous as well. M-E-R-U, M-O-R-U-O. Emphasis the word Moroccan. The letter O is interchangeable with E for American, Moroccan, 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 or Moroccan, America, or Moroccan. You get it? Mary W. Encyclopedia Britannica. Moroccan being a derivative of Moor. Thus, a Moroccan, American, Al-Moroccan, or consistent. And this is why I said that actually a Moorish American is Moorish and American has the same derivative as you see here. I'll just say that. Hence, in a way, it's an oxymoron. The Moors. Who was the Moors? Well, they was you. Get the oldest book, The Teachings of Ptahhotep, the oldest book in the world, by Asa G. Hilliard III, Larry Williams, and Nia Damali. You go and find in the book the word Mer, as in Meru, means the guardian of. Is the owl and the mouth of Ra, Ru. The owl is M. The mouth of Ra is Ru, Ru. M-R-U become Meru, which means the guardian. Thou hast become the guardian of the provisions of God. Look at that. The guardian of. Meru means the guardian of. Right from the book. This correlates perfectly with what George G.M. James states in his book, Stolen Legacy. In the 8th century AD, the Moors, native from Mauritania, Moors in South America and South Africa, invaded Spain and took with them the Egyptian culture, which they had preserved. They were known as the guardians of wisdom. Knowledge in the ancient days were centralized, spread through considerably portions of Africa, Asia Minor, and Europe. During this occupation of Spain, the Moors displayed considerable credit to grandeur of African culture and civilization. So the Moors were the custodians of this ancient knowledge coming from out of Asia. Get the book Celestial Ship of the North by E. Valencia Stratton. Student of Gerald Massey, the foremost Egyptologist even to this day, that many of our greatest minds Dr. Ben, John Henry Clark, Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. James Smalls, all these great minds had to study Gerald Massey. Let's look at Meru in her book, Garden of the Tree of Life, the polar region, talking about your spinal column, said to be like the seed cup of the lotus of immensity. All right, that's the crown chakra. Right? Meru was called the Great World Altered Stairs. Once again, your spinal column, 33 stairs. As we said before, it's the stairway to heaven, by which man can climb heavenward. At each step, a planetary heaven was established in their different cycles of time. Meru was also a name for the thigh. In other words, the phallus. The phallus is called the mir, M-I-R. Hence, you get the word Tekken, as in Obelix. You get it? The mir, right? The matrix, because it is the phallus and the vagina, the mother, in which that brings forth the flesh of the child into this matrix. The occultists that describe it as the exalted mass of glory, the variable haunts of gods and heavenly choristers, not to be reached by sinful man, but guarded. Guarded. The Meru, remember, Meru means guardian. So who's guardian it? What's the purpose of it being guarded? Well, because guarded by the serpents. They were the fiery serpents, the winged wills, the seraphims, talking about your chakras. Right? That's what he's talking about. The river four, the cardinal points of the world, was symbolizing the four sacred animals and the protectors of mankind. The protectors that you see in the book of Ezekiel, where it speaks about it was faces of four creatures. First face had the face of a man. The second face was the face of a bull. Third face was the face of a lion. Another face was the face of a eagle. Now, the face of the man is Aquarius. The face of the bull or calf was Taurus. The face of the Leo or lion was Leo. The face of the eagle is Scorpio. Scorpio have three. You have the scorpion, you have the snake, and you have the eagle. So these are the four, what they refer to as the four fixable points. You have mutable points and cardinal points. Okay. It says here, symbolizing the four sacred animals, the protectors of mankind, who was the watchers over karma and earth. Once again, that's talking about those four creatures that I just told you that's mentioned in the book of Ezekiel. Meru was the celestial mountain, which the gods and the highest celestial beings dwell. My birthplace, astrologically, the celestial pole, the throne of Jehovah. Ru is the mouth, as I told you, the outlet. Meru is also the image of an island, a lotus, a tree, type of emanation from the water. It was celestial. So we get caught up to, oh, you see what the Bible says about the tree? It was no actual tree in that sense. It was a co-type of emanation from the water. Talking about your nervous system. Okay, your nervous system. All right, but let's go to the book. But Ancient America is one of the chapters, and it says this: American is popularly supposed to have been received its name from the mariner Americus Vespucius. Actually, Albertico, so the nigga name was Albert. Albert Vespucci was the son of Anastasio Vespuccio had the Italy or Italian sought immortality by christening the continent after himself, he would have surely have honored his family by calling it Vespuccia, just as in Colombia was called after Christopher Columbus. In Central America, the word Americ, check this out, signified great mountain, evoking Meru. You see how America is named after Meru, the sacred mountain in the Hindu traditions. We know that mountain now is in Peru. It's called Meru. Said to be the central of 7 continents. Ancient America was linked to India through the lost Lemuria. The early voyagers probably believed America to be the native word for the land itself. Check this out now. It was the native word for the land itself. So they too would use it. Vespuccio companions, instead of Alberto, would nickname him Amerigo. Okay, Italian cartography gleans information about the New World from many sources and would surely adapt the native name for the country, calling it America. Some native names for the country called it America. Some native tribes called it by the name Atlanta, echoes of Atlantis. Okay. Okay, so the Isha Meru, or the pyramids and the mound building civilization in North America. Right? The She people never called themselves Olmecs or Mayans, as those are misnomers assigned by Europeans. No means the people of the tree. The tree is symbolic of the energetic life system of the earth. It represents the covenant between the creator and the people. Amaru means serpent. Amaru means the serpent. Right? The ancient serpent represents the creative power of the universe and the studies of cosmology and astronomy. Right? The epigraphy, stone carving, mural art, historic description, accounted by, and astronomy. The epigraphy, stone, martial arts, historical description, accounted by the European and anthropologists, and excuse me, y'all, this is kind of blurry here, but skeletal burial phenotypical depicts the Ish Olmec Mayans as Black people. But the Ish themselves never said they came from Africa or elsewhere. The Ish speakers of originating in America via being crafted from the Yachi tree, the world tree, which symbolized the Earth magnetic fields, according to the Ish system and study of cosmology. All right, so-called Black people in the Western Hemisphere are the oldest civilization of people on the Earth, on the planet. Because we do know that the fossils go back at least 70,000 years, and the Washita goes back to 100 million years. So Americo Vespucci be like, I sail from a Moorish city, Cadiz, to America. I mean, a Mexico. Columbus and early Spanish and Portuguese explorers were able to voyage across the Atlantic. Distance is 24,000 kilometers, thanks to Muslim geographical and navigational information, in particular maps made by Muslim traders, including Al Masudi. In the book Asbar, As I Men, The History of the World, which is based on material gathered in Africa and Asia. As a matter of fact, Columbus had 2 captains of Muslim Moors origin during his first transatlantic voyage. Martin Alfonso Pinzon was the captain of the Pinta, and his brother Vincent Yannack Pinzon, was the captain of the Nia. They was wealthy